Local journalism is at a crossroads across America. It's getting harder and harder to fund this critical work, and it's more important than ever when more things need fact-checking and fewer journalists are out there holding local boards and politicians accountable. So when even one key journalist moves on to another job or leaves town or retires, it's a big deal. It can destabilize an entire newsroom. We check in with the now former editor of the Adirondack Daily Enterprise, Elizabeth Izzo. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street, Glens Falls.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Monday, September 16th. First up, a Jefferson County housing project has been awarded a state grant to create 70 new units of permanent supportive housing in Watertown. Pine Camp Apartments will receive almost $15 million to create housing for veterans, people with serious mental illness, and individuals aged 55 years or older who have experienced homelessness. Rents are estimated to be between $700 and $900 a month. Jefferson County Housing Director Jillian Redder told WWNY-TV there's been a 26% increase in the number of people receiving emergency housing.
We have seen an increase of those people who we have placed, meaning people who have come in who are homeless looking for emergency housing assistance to get them off of the street.
The announcement came just a day after a housing summit in Ogdensburg, organized by State Assemblyman Scott Gray. State and local officials were joined by area not-for-profits to look at solutions for growing homeless populations in the North Country. The news industry has long been dominated by white male leaders, and it's reflected those perspectives. But that's been shifting in recent decades. Elizabeth Izzo has been part of that shift. Izzo grew up in the Champlain Valley town of Peru and started her career at the Sun Community News. She then spent the last 5 years at the Adirondack Daily Enterprise, based in Saranac Lake, where she stepped down as managing editor last week. Emily Russell sat down with Izzo on her last day of work to reflect on her journalism career so far.
I got into journalism in a kind of unique way. I grew up reading the Plattsburgh Press-Republican. Every Sunday, myself and my parents, we'd kind of split the newspaper. When I was a kid, I'd read the comics, and then as I got older, I kind of gravitated towards the news section. But I really didn't believe that journalism was a place for me. I guess as a woman who came from a lower income background, I didn't really feel like I saw myself reflected in the news industry. So I worked a series of regular jobs, worked at a nursing home, I worked at grocery stores, and as I was doing that, I would write freelance album reviews. I loved music of the 60s at the time, and I just wanted to find a way to kind of merge my lifelong love of writing with music, and so that's where I started, and I eventually took a chance and applied to one of the local newspapers, The Sun. And I started working there as an arts columnist, and I was eventually hired as a full-time staff writer.
So you've been a reporter in the North Country for nearly a decade, working at a few different outlets. How has your approach to local news and journalism changed over that time?
Yeah, I think that especially working at the Enterprise, which is a super hyper-local newspaper, I've learned what it means to really be a neighbor. You really have to be honest, be truthful, and be okay with seeing that's that person you wrote a story about in the grocery store the next day. And I think really the evolution for me has just been the more that I get to know the region that I grew up in, the easier it is for me to know what people really care about and what's important. And really what it boils down to is people care about other people.
When you think about your time here at the Adirondack Daily Enterprise, is there like a series of stories or, kind of a shift that you've helped make in the newsroom that you're really proud of?
Yeah, I think that in the beginning, when I was hired as editor, I was really focused on preserving the culture and the mission of the Enterprise. And that's continued. But as time has gone on, I've developed my own vision. I'm still upholding the standards of the Enterprise, still has the same mission. But one thing that I've made a concentrated effort to pay attention to is the diversity of the region. I think that for many years, these stories weren't really told.
That was Elizabeth Izzo, who stepped down as the managing editor of the Adirondack Daily Enterprise last week. Izzo is moving to Albany, where she'll work as a news editor for the Albany Times-Union. She spoke with Emily Russell. Bonus story. Yesterday, about 30 determined paddlers finished the job they started the week before. Cold temperatures and high winds a week ago forced the cancellation of the third and final day of the 90-miler canoe and kayak race. But yesterday's weather was beautiful, sunny, and calm, so 17 boats gathered near the Fish Creek campground to paddle the race's third day to Lake Flower in Saranac Lake. There was no official finish line, no awards, no cheering crowd at the end, just the joy of a sunny day on the water. I was in one of those boats, and I produced this herd up north.
Hi, I'm Brian McDonald in Lake Clear, New York. So today we are going to paddle. There's a whole group of us here that are going to paddle from Fallensby Clear and do the last day of the 90-mile canoe race. The race was canceled last week due to the weather. There was a lot of wind and really rough seas on Middle Saranac Lake, and the Northern Forest Canoe Trail made a good call in canceling the race. And so a bunch of us got together and decided today's the day.
Yeah, I paddled with my son. It was his very first race, and I roped him into the 90-miler. Can you imagine that? And it was his birthday weekend, too. So his name is Russell. He paddled this like a boss. I'm Deb Rex. I live in DeRuyter, New York in the summer, Arizona in the wintertime.
He did really well.
Yeah, he was disappointed that the day 3 was canceled because he drove all the way from Columbus, Ohio.
Sarah, could you go just like one more foot? There we go.
I'm here with my stern man, Andy Pritchard. Hi. From Glens Falls.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Wet feet already.
Wet feet to start the day.
We just put the 4-person canoe, the C4, in the boat, and we're about to get in and get started on this day 3 of the 90-miler a week later. All right, we're out here in the middle of Upper Saranac right now, and it is just clear as glass. Even the leaves starting to change a little bit. Can kind of see the hills almost towards Ampersand a little bit as we head south here towards Bartlett Carey and Middle Saranac. Such a beautiful day, the opposite of last week. All right, I can't talk for long because we have a C4 right on our tail here. We just finished the Lower Loch Carey. It's now all water from here to Osita. It's funny, when we were up on Upper Saranac, everybody was all chill and like, oh, we're not racing. But here we are trying to get around Osita Lake to Lake Flower to the finish. And man, you can kind of feel the vibes, feel the racing vibes. Woo! All right, let's go. And hut. And there's the road.
Road, sweet road.
Let's go, let's go.
It speaks to the strength of the awesome paddling community. I mean, it's like this at every race that I attend. Run into people I haven't seen since the race before. It's like big reunions every time. And there's people here that I know, and there's people that I don't know that I've already made acquaintance with. And I've never met a paddler I didn't like.
All right. Woo! 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 Good day. Really great day, you guys. Heather Wheeler, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Water was placid. The sky was blue.
How does it feel to have done this week?
Much better than it felt last week. It was cold and windy. Yeah, this was great.
And this is just a beautiful, peak day. It's just gorgeous.
It's perfect. Yeah, we had a great time.
And now we get to cheer on all the other boats as they come in.
Yeah, we are the crowd. Yeah, I love it. We're the crowd, yeah.
That was Heather Wheeler of Potsdam, one of my boatmates, and other paddlers who completed day 3 of the 90-miler Adirondack Canoe Classic yesterday. It was fun, and there are great pictures on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid and Paul Myers of Colton. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.